Hey everyone, it's Tabria back with another episode of Milk Trunk for the Parent Tribe. Our guest today is CEO, producer, on-camera host, stop-motion artist, digital educator, wife, and mama of soon-to-be 2, Lucie Fink. After starting out as a regular millennial correspondent on NBC's Today Show, Lucie produced and hosted Refinery 29's wildly popular YouTube videos and her trailblazing digital series, Try Living with Lucie and Lucie for Hire, which won Telly Awards for Best Web Series and Best Lifestyle Content. In addition to building a highly successful personal brand, Lucie has a TEDx talk about the power of trying new things and is a CEO of her own media company, Lucie Fink Media Inc., which works with brands to create high-quality original content. This creative visionary and self-made media mogul also offers digital courses, including her Motherhood Super Guide, one-on-one coaching, and consulting services. As if all that and her inspiring educational daily content isn't enough to blow you away, Lucie also hosts The Real Stuff, a podcast where she tackles taboo topics and asks her guests intensely personal questions about sex, money, and mental health to help everyone feel less alone as they navigate life. Welcome to Milk Trunk, Lucie. I'm so happy to have you here today. You seem like
Thank you.
I did a quick deep dive of your socials, and you seem just like a really fun person who doesn't mind sharing their experience online, which I think is really important as a content creator and especially as a mom going through the life of motherhood, you know? So I want to talk about all of that today. First off, you're pregnant.
Yes.
What are the biggest differences between this pregnancy and your first?
A lot of it is mental. It's a lot of not being as solely focused on the pregnancy, partially because I have a toddler, but also partially because I've done it before and just it's causing a lot less general anxiety this time around.
Yeah.
I think having a girl this time, and I don't know if this is a myth, but I definitely feel like I was nauseous for longer than I was with my son. My nausea with him stopped around 15 weeks. And with this one, it was closer to 20 weeks.
Yeah.
I guess other differences, like I'm really just not tracking the pregnancy as regularly. So I open my app every so often to see how far along I am. And I'm always just shocked that another week has gone by. Whereas the first time around, it was like every day. Let me look at the 3D diagram of what my baby looks like today. And I'm learning all the facts. This time I'm kind of just... it's all happening behind the scenes while I'm going about my life.
Yeah. I mean, you have a lot going on. Like you said, you have a toddler. So it kind of, it's not saying it's not important whatsoever, but you know, your first pregnancy, that was like life consuming. I can imagine. That's how it was for me. You know, it was,
yes.
I focused on that more than I focused on my work and myself. But I can imagine with your second, and you feel more confident and comfortable, I'm sure, like you know what to expect, sort of. So just like, okay, I got this, you know?
Yes.
Yeah.
It's definitely eating at me less. And it's hard to say that I'm not thinking about it all the time because, as you know, when the physical changes are happening to your body, it is top of mind every day.
Sure.
I can't really go too long without remembering, oh yeah, there's a baby in there.
Yeah.
Unless I'm really like sucked into a podcast recording or an edit or something that's unrelated. It is definitely just a lot less all consuming than round one.
Yeah. So are you you're in your third trimester, or did you just enter
I'm
it?
actually just 28 weeks today.
Oh,
so
yeah.
I guess this is the start of the third.
Yeah. So has your second been chill?
Yeah, it was a lot better than the first as far as physical nausea symptoms and that kind of stuff. But I was getting a lot of sciatic pain, starting to feel, I don't even feel in my case that it's necessarily pressure from added weight because my actual belly isn't that big. Like I don't think my belly's pulling me down. I just think my body's so sensitive to any slight shift in the way I'm standing or holding myself or like my general gait. And so any slight shift causes these rippling nerve pains down my leg. And I notice it mostly at the end of the day. It's like after I've been on my feet all day and I finally lie down to watch a show in bed. God forbid I have to pee, which I always do.
Yeah.
That last walk to the bathroom, like that last walk before I'm out for the night, is the most painful walk. And I'm like gripping the walls and walking like a crazy woman. But
oh my gosh.
Aside from that, I have to say I've been blessed with how healthy the pregnancy is and how just kind of smoothly everything's going.
I had my daughter in August last year, and my pregnancy was pretty chill, all things considered. I had really bad morning sickness, or not morning sickness, it's all day sickness.
All day
but
sickness,
yeah,
yes.
but my first trimester, it lasted about 20 weeks too. But after that, it was fine. But it's funny you mentioned going to the bathroom because I absolutely dreaded, like when I woke up in the middle of the night and had to go to the bathroom, I was like, God damn it. I
Oh, I
don't
know.
like, this is the absolute worst thing right now. But
And it's so unfortunate because right before bed, I'm parched. Like all I want is to chug water, but I
Yeah.
know what that's going to do to me. And then the whole rolling over, I'm normally a back sleeper, love sleeping on my back. And so around, I don't know what it was, 15 weeks, I had to give that up.
Yeah.
And it was less because of the doctor telling me so and more just it started to feel really uncomfortable breath-wise to be on my back. So I switched to my side, but now I notice every time I readjust and go from side to side, which is multiple times a night, after I roll over, I get that tightening and that Braxton Hicks contraction. So it's like sometimes I wake up and I'm so uncomfortable on one side, but I'm like, do I want to roll?
I know.
I don't know if I want to have a contraction right now.
Yeah. Do you use the pregnancy pillow?
I got rid of my big U-shaped one this time around and I switched to, what's it called? Bubba something.
Okay.
I'll have to find the actual link and maybe you can put in the show notes, but I like it a lot. It's basically 2 wedge pillows, like triangle shaped wedge pillows that are connected by a little band. So it's a lot smaller.
Yeah.
And you just put it kind of under your back. And then if you're on one side, you have the wedge under your bump and like another wedge kind of up against your back. And then if you flip to the other side, it's the same. So it's not like a big pillow you need to hoist from side to side.
Yeah. That sounds really interesting because I hated my pregnancy pillow. It was just really cumbersome to maneuver.
Yes.
And I ended up getting rid of it and just using like regular pillows and adjusting that way. But yeah, it was really difficult, actually.
It's called the Baby Bub.
Baby Bub. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. I'll
You
look
can
into
get it on
that.
Amazon or they have a site.
Yeah, that's awesome. So I've never been really in tune with my body before I got pregnant. Anything could happen to me and I would not be affected whatsoever.
Mhm.
But now I feel like, I'm more aware of things that are going on with me externally, internally. Did you feel like you were any more or less sensitive after you got pregnant?
I actually feel like I agree with that sentiment of not being in tune during the years of my life when I was on the pill. It was just a time in my life, which by the way was 11 years of not having a cycle and not noticing any changes from month to month or from week to week. And really just feeling like, I don't know what's going on and I don't care. Fast forward to coming off the pill, a lot of changes happened in my body. That was around the time when I was diagnosed with celiac disease out of nowhere. And once my actual cycle came back and I started having a cycle, I was just so enthralled with how my body was changing on a cycle every month. And I actually had a bizarrely long cycle. Like instead of being 28 days, my cycle was closer to 45 days.
Oh.
So I was ovulating infrequently, but it was one of those ovulations where it was like, okay, I'm clearly ovulating right now. My cervical mucus has changed in texture and I'm all of a sudden feeling my libido skyrocket. And I was also doing, in conjunction with figuring out what was physically happening with my body, I was tracking my basal body temperature and checking out my LH levels to see if I was in fact ovulating. And it was like almost a science experiment time period in my life when I was getting really in tune. So around the time I had my first son and got pregnant with my first baby, I would totally was in tune with everything to the point where we got pregnant on our first try. And I know, a lot of people can also be in tune with their body and it still doesn't work on the first try. But I was convinced it was because it was like a science experiment down to the moment I was having sex to try to conceive.
Yeah.
And I felt very in tune and almost to the point where I actually have a video of myself in that 2-week wait during that first time I was trying to get pregnant, making a video at 4 a.m. saying, I think I just felt the embryo implant in my uterus. I literally felt the pinch of the implantation.
Oh my gosh, that's
it was an intense time. And then it happened again this time. I when I got pregnant, I knew that I was pregnant a couple weeks before, or at least 1 week before the test would have even been positive yet.
Oh wow.
Because I just felt that I was. I don't even know how to describe it. It was like an energy thing.
That's cool. I mean, you're way more in tune than I ever was. So that's really interesting, though. Out of curiosity, when you're taking all of that into account and when it comes to conception and like having to plan around your ovulation and when you need to be intimate, was that ever awkward for you and your husband? I've spoken to other women and everybody's answer is different. So I'm just curious how it was for you.
I would say no degree of awkwardness for us.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, we had been together. I'm trying to think even we started dating in high school.
Mm-hmm.
And we're high school sweethearts and we've been together ever since then. The time we got married in our 10th year together and then started trying for a baby in our like 12th year. And I think my husband was just like, I don't know what to do to have a baby. I don't know the right time. So I'm leaving this to you. And I not only took that responsibility on, but for me, it had become such a part of what was my interest at the time. I was listening to so many podcasts about cycles. I had just read Elisa Vitti's book, In the Flow, about your different period phases and like kind of learning how to care for your body and during different phases of your cycle. And I felt like teaching him about it was my happy place and my point of, that was something I was enjoying at the time. So when it came to telling him when we needed to get in the bed, he was just like, okay, you tell me what to do. And I mean, I think I probably overdid it that first time. Like we really surrounded that fertile window with a lot of sex.
Yeah.
But it worked. I mean, and he just was kind of like, okay, you tell me when and I'm there. And there were definitely a few times when I was like, I know you're working, but you're working from home. So stop and come over here right now. And we just did it live.
Yeah. I love that he was just so down. Okay, babe, let's go.
Yeah. And funny. I mean, listen, I know that once you're trying to conceive for so long, and if there's infertility on either end, or if there's just another issue that's causing you to not get pregnant, I can see that process getting kind of less and less exciting each time and just more of a stressful thing or just a point of contention. But because, as I said, it happened so quickly for us both times, it was almost like we've had such a short time in our life when we were trying to get pregnant from that we were still in the exciting phase with it.
For sure. Did you still had to do all the tracking and everything for the second pregnancy as well?
Yeah. Okay. With after my cycle came back after I stopped nursing my first, my cycle was a lot more normal in terms of timing. So it was closer to 28 or 30 days. I was always tracking my cycle. Like every month I track my cycle because that's my actual method of birth control these days.
Yeah. Same.
And I was using natural cycles and my like fertility awareness as my birth control method for a really long time. I really did not want to get pregnant with my second until the moment I did. So I was using it as birth control and then flipped the switch when I wanted to get pregnant and timed it opposite.
Okay, cool. I'm glad everything worked out for you so well. That's awesome to hear.
Thank you.
Like you said, it can take people a long time to conceive. Mm-hmm. So yeah, that's really awesome. How did your first pregnancy go? I mean, not your first pregnancy, your first delivery.
It was, I think as far as deliveries go, as good as you could ask for of a delivery in terms of health and safety and just the speed of it. I was actually a little early. So 36 weeks and 6 days, I was at an OB appointment and lost my mucus plug, like in the doctor's office in the bathroom.
Wow.
And was convinced that I was about to go into labor, to which she was like, you could have no mucus plug for weeks. So don't be prepared. But the next morning, I woke up to contractions and basically just over the course of that whole day, started timing them, they started getting painful around the evening, and I went to the hospital that night and then, had my epidural by midnight and was told that my water broke on its own after the epidural. When I was just like lying in the hospital bed, I just like felt a gush of warm water on my legs.
Oh, wow.
And then they told me they would come back in and check me every 2 hours to see when I was dilated enough. And they estimated that by maybe 11 a.m. the next day, I would be ready to push. But on their first check back in the room at like 2:30 a.m., they said, oh, you're 10 centimeters already. So I literally went from like 2 to 10 in 2 hours.
Oh my gosh.
And they said, time to push. The hospital room became a madhouse, and I pushed for probably 25 minutes. He came out at 2:50, and that was around like 2:30. So I pushed for 25 minutes. We had one little scare during the pushing where the doctor was telling me that his heart rate was like slightly elevated, and she didn't know why. And she was like, I really want you to get him out in the next few pushes. Like, I think she wanted to avoid an emergency C-section. And so I just pushed with all my might, push like they told you, as if you're pooping.
Yeah.
And did not poop, but got him
that's
out.
Awesome.
And, he came out and he did have the cord like kind of around his neck when he first was coming out. So I think that's why his heart rate was quickening. But yeah, he came out and he was 3 weeks early and still 7 pounds. So it was like ready to come.
Yeah.
And yeah, it wasn't until I got home from the hospital and like started my life as a mom that I started to feel baby blues or negativity or sadness around the scenario. I would say my birth and the actual like hospital experience was very positive.
That's awesome. Based on that experience, I know it went as well as it could go, but is there anything that you're keeping in mind for this delivery or anything that you would do differently or just going with the flow?
Surprisingly, I'm actually more nervous for the second one.
Oh, really?
Than for the first one, because I just had no concept of what was happening. I was like excited for the unknown and was kind of like, we're going to have a baby. It's going to be great. And now, even though it went well, and even though, I wound up having a really small 1st-degree tear, so healed nicely and had a nice recovery, despite all that, my memory of the experience of giving birth was just like so intense and so bloody and just a crazy time that thinking about doing it again, I'm just a little more scared this time.
Interesting. They always say the second is easier. I mean, everybody's different, but that's what they generally say. So
yes, and they say it happens faster. And I'm kind of like, how much faster can it happen than that? But
literally.
I guess the moment I feel a contraction, I will be getting to the hospital.
Yeah. Well, I'm so excited for you. I can't wait to see how this one pans out in comparison.
Thank you.
Yeah. I wanted to ask, being a first-time mom, when did it really set in that you were like a mom? Was there like a moment where it's like, oh, I'm not just babysitting, this little one's here with me forever.
I mean, those first few months are just such a blur. I can't even say I felt like a mom yet.
Yeah.
But I definitely immediately felt that loss of my old self and that old identity in a way that was really jarring to me. I've always wanted to have a baby. I've always wanted to be a mom. I had been with my husband for so long before this happened that we were just so confident that this is what we wanted. And even still, it was like that, specifically the first month, I was just like, what has happened to my life? I lived in New York City and it was winter. It was kind of I would say not the best time to have a baby, but there's really no amazing time for a lot of reasons.
Yeah.
And it's just like my life went from being this married business owner who was kind of making my own schedule, running around the city, doing things, to really being locked in my apartment, feeling like I scared to go out, feeling like I wasn't equipped to take the baby out, wanting to still see friends and go have coffee dates or get lunch, but needing to now time it around my nursing schedule or pumping.
Yeah.
And just feeling very like chained to the apartment. And it was also a resurgence of a new COVID strain. It was like during the Omicron rise. So another scary moment of like, who do we let come in? Can our parents come over? Does everyone have to wear a mask? Like just not a good time.
Yeah.
I know there have been worse times as far as COVID goes, but it's not a pleasant, the hospital was like no guests could come to the hospital at that time.
Oh, wow.
I would say it took a few months before I was like, okay, I'm a mom and I've got this. I know what I'm doing.
I think, I hope this doesn't sound bad, but for me, it really just happened recently because she's starting to call me mama now. Whereas before she was just babbling it, but now she recognizes me as her mother. And I'm just like, wow, that's, it's crazy.
I know.
But
it really everything's so slow and steady, but it's hard to even articulate. It's just like over time, really slowly, especially into the toddlerhood and the talking and the calling you mommy and daddy, it's like I still have moments now, and my son's 2.5, where he'll say something about me to me or to someone else, and I'm like, wait, I'm the mom? Like, I'm this kid's mommy? It feels a little, I feel a little dissociated from the whole thing.
Yeah, that's so funny. I saw this post and it said, like, in different stages, 30-year-olds are the adults of the kids, if that makes sense, and then 40-year-olds are like the babies of the adults, and then it just keeps going up by decade. Yes. And I was like, I very much still feel like sometimes my like 16-year-old self, but truly like 23, 24, that's what I still feel like to this day.
Yes, like it's a teen mom at 31.
Literally, it feels so wild, and I just can't believe this is my life sometimes in mostly good ways. But yeah, I mean, just figuring out how to navigate life now as a mom, man, it's really wild. Like, I really have to carve out time to see my friends and, my family. We live in LA and my family's in Nashville, so figuring out how we can go see them as often as possible. So, they're not
How old
missing
is your daughter?
She's 10 months now, so she's about coming up on 1. Aww. So yeah, that'll be really exciting. Thank you. So
almost a year of motherhood.
I know. And it's been fine. I think ironically, last night was probably the worst night of sleep we've ever had. She was I think her molars are coming in though. So yeah, it's just really bothering her.
Yeah, the regressions, they just hit when you expect them.
I know, they're so random. I feel like there's a regression every month. But
yes, I remember 6 months, 9 months, a year, 18 months. Yeah, it doesn't really stop.
Yeah. But having a toddler, everybody is just bracing me for the toddler stage and making it seem like you are going to go through hell, but it's wonderful. So is it as bad as people make it seem?
Unfortunately, I have to say yes. I mean, listen, I thought I was going to evade it. I don't know why.
Yeah.
I think because my son, he was like talking, not full sentences, but he was saying a lot of words at one. By 18 months was at least could understand almost everything we were saying and was starting to talk. And now is like full sentences, everything.
Yeah.
And because he was so verbal, I think a lot of people told me, it's not the terrible 2s, it's the 3s that are actually worse because they're more vocal and they can express themselves and they start picky about what they want and they want to control the situation, don't want to be told what to do. So I was waiting for that. But I think because he's verbal, like it's happening earlier for him and he can already express what he wants. And so he's very like bossy. And honestly, just in the past 2 months, before that, I look at videos from like 2 months ago and I'm like, he was an angel 2 months ago. And now, and I don't even blame him because he's going through so much change. He just finished a first year of preschool and then school stopped and camp started with all new kids and counselors. We just did potty training and he just went from diapers his whole life to having to tell us he has to go on the potty.
Yeah.
And on top of that, he has a sister coming and he kind of is aware. He keeps asking, is it September yet? And like there's a lot of changes on top of the fact that I'm aware that his brain is like not fully developed as a baby. And so he really is in the stage now where it's kind of like these random tantrumy things can set him off. And the emotions in the room go from 100 to 0 so quickly that for people like me and my husband who have generally like even keeled energy, I would say especially my husband who's just like wants to keep things calm at all times.
Yeah.
It is hard to navigate the ups and downs. And we actually just came back from a family vacation, just the 3 of us, to Maine. And it was a 4-hour car drive, which, maybe better than a airplane, but also like we had just potty trained and then we put him in the car for 4 hours.
Yeah.
And I don't know. A lot of people that potty train, I think for like a few weeks, they leave the house minimally. Like they'll maybe go out to a store, take a short trip to a coffee shop. We were like, he potty trained on like a weekend. And then that following Wednesday, we went on a trip where we were doing 3 meals a day at restaurants, staying in a hotel.
Oh, wow.
And we didn't bring the diapers. We were just like, we're doing this live. So it was a little risky on our part. But we were like, he's just going to have to figure it out. And I would have to say, like, my husband's emotions on that trip and mine, it was just a roller coaster. Like,
Yeah.
some days at nap time when we put him to bed, we would just be sitting outside in the lobby, like, talking about how lucky we are and how great it's going. And then the other days we were just like, what are we doing wrong? How do we deal with this? And it was a lot of ups and downs. And we're happy we took the trip, but shocking how much we're questioning if everything that he's doing is normal, because
Oh,
it's
yeah.
like so shocking when you see it firsthand.
I bet. I can't even imagine. Have you traveled with him before?
We have mostly with family. So either my husband's parents would be there or mine. And I guess we haven't done that much. But that was our first, like, the three of us going on a vacation.
Oh, that's nice.
Like 4 nights away.
Yeah. I've traveled with her quite a few times by myself. It's the worst thing ever. And my boyfriend was just able to come with me. Oh my God. It was so much easier. It made the world of a difference. It's so hard. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. I wanted to talk about your feeding journey because you combo fed Milo, correct? And you're a Bobbie mom. Obviously, I am too.
Yes, I am.
Yes, I love Bobbie. But what do you plan on doing for your daughter?
So with Milo, I combo fed him, but I would say I primarily was nursing to the point where, I really was excited about breastfeeding and nursing, and I wanted to try it. And it worked very easily for me in that I had a quick supply and my son didn't have a tongue or lip tie and he was able to feed and like everything was working. I introduced Bobbie to him like literally the first night of his life. I was like, I want to make sure that this kid takes formula.
Yeah.
Just had no idea what I was in for with this nursing journey, but I was like, I just want to make sure he's not refusing a bottle and I have to be there all the time. I was primarily nursing though, and to the point where my memory of that time, now in hindsight, I realize I don't know if you could say that you were like over nursing or over pumping, but I was like, maybe someone would say it's all good. Like the more, the better for your baby. But no, I feel like I was telling my body that I had quadruplets and that it needed to hurry the hell up.
Yeah.
We had a night nurse actually for the first month. And in that first month, like the point of paying for a night nurse, my assumption is that you can then rest and sleep.
Right.
But I was still paying for this night nurse and then waking up 2, sometimes 3 times a night to pump. And I was just doing that because I was convinced that if I didn't do that, that my boobs, I was going to get mastitis or like.
I mean, that's what they tell you.
Yeah. And I mean, everyone was like, just keep it flowing, keep it flowing. So I was pumping multiple times a night. And on top of that, nursing him on demand all day. And after every nursing session, my son was just like ravenous all the time. So after every feed, he would still be like eating his hands. And I would think to myself, he probably wants more. And sometimes I would just give him the formula then, but I would always feel like there was a little bit left in my boobs that he wasn't getting. So I would put on the pump after every nursing session and pump again for like another 10 minutes and usually get like another half an ounce or another ounce out.
Yeah.
Which he would always drink. So the fact that he was drinking it told me like, you have to, the pump is stronger than his suck. So like you have to do that after every feed and give it to him because he's clearly still hungry. So I literally was like almost all day either pumping or nursing.
Yeah. Oh
and
my
had
gosh.
such a robust supply to the point where like around the end of our feeding session, I ended up donating 150 ounces to the New York Milk Bank.
That's amazing.
We just had like too much. And I probably could have kept it and used it for him, but I also love Bobbie and was like, I'm really happy to be giving him this.
Yeah.
With my second, I definitely went through a roller coaster of thoughts about like what I'm going to do differently, to the point where when I first got pregnant, I think like the memory of that nursing time period, although as I said, it was positive, was very all consuming on my life and changed my whole schedule and really ate into my work hours. And that was something that I feel like was holding me back from being excited about another baby, because just the memory of, wow, I'm going to have to do that again. Like when I stopped nursing, it really improved my life in a lot of ways.
Yeah, definitely.
So like thinking of doing it again was throwing me off. And I kind of made an early declaration that I'm not nursing at all. Like I said to all my friends and family, I've just decided I'm going to do full formula for this baby. And everyone was supportive. And I felt good about it until my body really started changing in the pregnancy. And I think it must have been like when my boobs really started to grow again and to look the way they looked with Milo. I just like had a few moments with myself in the mirror where I was like looking at my body and I was noticing, even at this point at 20, even a couple weeks ago, 26 weeks, I was already having colostrum come out already.
Oh, wow.
My body's ready to do this again.
Yeah.
And I just started having a moment where I was like, I feel like this is what my body wants to do.
Mm.
And there's like a part of me that feels like, listen, I don't know how my daughter is going to be with feeding. Very well, she might not be able to feed. Or maybe even though this looks like it's happening, maybe I won't have a supply. Who knows? But I just feel like my body wants me to do this. And I don't want to make like a hard and fast rule that I'm not doing it.
Yeah.
So the place I'm at right now is if I were to like lay out a feeding plan for you, or like my ideal world would be that I would nurse, but almost in like a toned down way.
Yeah,
like
for
breastfeeding
sure.
light, definitely combo feeding. Like once again, I'm going to do Bobbie right away just to make sure she has some of that. But like 100%, I want to not be nursing. If we're going to have another night nurse. So like I want to sleep at night from night one, if possible. And then I will not be putting on a pump after feeds. Like if I nurse her and she still seems hungry, we'll make a Bobbie.
A lot of people scold moms for not breastfeeding, which I don't understand, but people don't understand how taxing and demanding breastfeeding is. It's literally a full-time job.
Yes.
And I combo fed for like 8 months, but I kind of had like, it was bittersweet for me. I did, I liked the act of nursing her and the bond or whatever, but it honestly was such a relief when I stopped. I felt like I got so much time back. Like, yeah, it's like you can't, because I pumped too. I didn't exclusively breastfeed, I pumped. But oh my God, pumping, Jesus, it's literally a full-time job.
By the end of my nursing journey with my first, I was in a world where like I had cut the night pumping, but during the day, he was on like a 4 feed a day schedule. And so I was nursing him the first and the last ones. And then the 2 middle of the day feeds, we were paying for a nanny because I was back to work. And I still had to stop work at those 2 times to pump and then put it in the bags and store it and label it and migrate all the bags from the fridge to the freezer.
Yeah.
And it was just like, I slowly weaned off one of those and then the other until I was just doing first thing in the morning and night. My memory of that time with all the parts and the pumps and the cleaning and the sterilizing and the labeling, I guess bittersweet. Because it's not that I hated it. When I was in it, I could have stopped at any time. And I was like, no, I'm enjoying this. I like it. But in hindsight, I'm like, I don't know about doing that with a toddler.
Yeah, especially with a toddler, man. That's a lot.
Like we already, my kid's going to school. Really, one of the big reasons I want to try to nurse again and do it like even just lightly this time actually has to do with the fact that her due date is September. And I know my son's going to be going back to a school program. And we were all sick for probably from like November through February of this year. We all just came down with every sickness under the sun, which sorry, that could be coming for you if your child goes to any sort of preschool or school or daycare. But we had everything like COVID, coughs, colds, hand, foot, and mouth, random, literally everything. And I anticipate hopefully his immune system is a little better going into second year of school, but I know he's going to come home with stuff. And I feel like if I am nursing a baby, I could like at least give her some antibodies if I'm building them myself. I don't know, but that's not my only reason.
Since you're basically a freelancer, you run your own business essentially. So how do you manage your maternity leave?
First time around, I basically just took 2 months and told my managers that I wanted them to not get me any brand deals for 2 months. And I basically had a 2-month period where I was still present on social media. I was still like showing up and talking about whatever was happening, just editorially, like lifestyle content, but I wasn't doing any brand deals or bringing in any revenue from anything aside from like affiliate links I was sharing. And this time I'm basically doing the same thing. Like I'm going to give myself probably 2 months, but my business is like set up a little differently this time. I now have a full-time employee, which I didn't have last time. And I feel like depending on, if a brand deal comes in during that time period that's kind of relevant to what's happening in my life, I now have this person who can come over to my house, help me capture content, edit the content, like almost do all the legwork so that I could potentially still do relevant brand deals.
Yeah.
As long as it feels right in the time. And then I guess the only other difference this time and last time is that because I have an S Corp for my business and I've set up an actual business, the first time I didn't even know I could do this, but this time around I've bought a paid family leave insurance policy. So I'm hoping to actually get paid leave from the state during, I think it's like, I don't know, you could get up to 6 weeks paid 67% of your salary or something. So hoping to treat it like I work at an actual company and get some paid leave this time.
I know. I had no clue how that worked the first time. And I was like, oh, I don't qualify for anything. So
yeah, the first time I was like, I guess I'm just not making money for 2 months.
Right. Exactly.
This time I'm like, I don't need to set a totally strict rule. And, why not look into this government policy?
Yeah. With your employee, did you hire them after you had your first?
Yeah, she actually started like early this year.
Oh, okay, cool. Yeah. Has content creation changed for you since starting a family? And how have you navigated that, like sharing your son, on your socials? How does that work for you?
Definitely. I mean, a lot of the content around my pregnancy and that the first time around, it just sort of, whether or not you want it to be what your platform is about, it's like if you are a lifestyle platform, it's just going to follow suit with whatever's happening in your life.
Yeah.
So that's happened to my content across the years. At one point, my content was very wedding heavy, and then it was baby heavy, and then it was moving and renovating a house heavy. And now it's kind of like motherhood in the suburbs. That's my thing right now. I think like the way I think about my son and, kids on the platform is like, because I'm a lifestyle platform, people know I have kids. I don't hide them. I don't like put emojis over their faces, but it was always important to me that we weren't like a family blog channel. My husband also has no interest in being on the channel. So sometimes I drag him in there, but he's like, this is not my thing. So it's important to me that like, it's not a family vlog platform. And also that when someone goes to my page, I don't want my kids' faces to be kind of the main attraction that pops out. I still want it to be me, but it's hard to make it not about motherhood because that's now my whole sphere.
Yeah, literally. That's exactly how I am, like to a T. My boyfriend really doesn't want to be a part of it, but he doesn't mind every now and then. But yeah, I don't want people to come to my page expecting to see my daughter. I still want them to come for me,
Yeah. And I haven't like made a hard and fast decision on it, but I could see at some point in the future, maybe once my kids go to actual school, like kindergarten or whatever, I could see me making a decision to like, okay, I'm done showing them, but not in a way that it's like, I don't know. I feel like my family is pretty public. Like my dad is on Instagram. A bunch of my followers follow him. Same with my brother or sister. And like, I don't think I would make it the kind of thing that's like, nobody can post my kids,
Yeah.
It would be more so that I would just like kind of slowly taper off.
Yeah.
Showing them. But even to this day, like Milo has been a big part of a lot of my brand partnerships because it's a lot of motherhood baby products.
Yeah.
And not only are my husband and I like paying him and he's getting, a little account for that.
Yeah.
But there are ways to create content for brands without their faces. Like you can film them from the back. You can show their hands.
Totally.
So I think it will be easy one day if we make that decision to just sort of transition in a way that someone might be like, have you stopped showing them? But it wouldn't be like blatant, like we're done. Their faces are wiped.
Yeah, I agree. So when it comes to your village, I know you have an assistant and you mentioned you have a nanny, I believe. Yeah. So Is that like who's in your core village as of now?
Yeah, I would say, I mean, my assistant's more, from the business side of things. From a parenting village, we have the school/camp program, which is like 5 days a week in the mornings. We have our nanny in the afternoons. And then because both sets of grandparents are so close by, and because our son is the first grandchild on both sides, so he's like the only person they need to carve out time for right now.
Yeah.
We have set days in the week. Every Tuesday afternoon, my parents come, and every Thursday afternoon, my husband's parents come.
Oh,
And,
that's
sometimes
nice.
we shift the schedule, but basically it's like, if you really look at the breakdown, our son is with our nanny 3 afternoons a week, and then he's with grandparents 2 afternoons a week, and in a program all morning.
Yeah. That's nice. I would love to get something like that going for myself. My family, they don't live in LA. They're from Nashville. But my boyfriend's family, they're fairly close. They're like 40 minutes away, and they're always down to come whenever. But I feel like I'm getting to the point before we put her in preschool, like I need some help, because I primarily model and do content creation, and you literally can't do anything with a kid. You cannot do anything except tend to them when they're in your care. So it's impossible to get anything done, whether it's for work or around the house. So yeah.
It's even hard to, the way our house is set up, I have chosen to have my office. Well, it's not even really a choice. Like, we don't have enough bedrooms upstairs for both my husband and I to have an office. And he works from home. So he got like a quiet bedroom upstairs. And I chose to have the room that's like right off of our kitchen to turn it into kind of a flex office. So it's technically like a second living room. It has like a couch and a fireplace, but I put up this wall that's like a glass door.
Oh, I think I
wall.
saw that on your, I saw that. Mm-hmm.
And I made it so you can close the door, and it actually keeps the sound out really nicely, but it was an unfortunate choice to use a glass wall.
Oh, yeah.
Because my son comes home from school and literally like rounds the corner and just goes up to the glass and he's like, Mommy. And if I had a really important call, like if I'm doing this podcast, I'm down in my basement. If I was on any sort of interview or call, I would go up to my bedroom and close the door and take the call from there, or like get out of the house. So I'm never doing anything that he can't interrupt. But if I'm in the flow, if I'm editing something or working, he comes home and the door also doesn't have a lock. So he comes, and, there's multiple touch points in a day that he's down in that space, like right when he comes home from his school or camp. And then after he wakes up from his nap, he comes back down there to like have a snack in the kitchen and regroup before figuring out an afternoon activity. So there's like always a lot of action in my office, and especially on the days when grandparents come, like that's kind of the central sitting hub area of the house.
Yeah.
So it is hard to like, if I really wanted to get away and have a full work day, like I would need a flex workspace out of my house.
Yeah, it's very challenging working remote and having children, because you have to be closed off from them, unfortunately, to get stuff done.
But it's like on the days when I don't have anything aggressive going on, those are the days I'm like, I'm so lucky. This is amazing that I can stop and just sit with him while he has a little snack, before and after his nap, and get those moments in the day. And it's like, especially as they get older, you can see how he loves his nanny, but he's just so excited to see mommy and daddy. And the fact that we both work from home and we're both kind of generally around is like, he just lights up when we come around the corner. So I'm so lucky that we get to do that.
Yeah. I was wondering, we always ask if you have any tips on parenting. Do you have any parenting hacks that you'd like to tell us? Anything like that?
I think probably the biggest tip I'm taking from baby 1 to 2, that's kind of hard to do if you are still on your first, or if you're just about to have your first. But I would just encourage parents to try as best as they can to go with the flow more of things, and to not get too attached to whatever stage your child happens to be in the moment. Because especially that first time around, it feels like every random stage is the new normal and is the new permanent way things are going to be. But then it's not anymore. And, we had a lot of those types of moments with different things. Like 2 that are coming to mind is one moment we were trying to do swim lessons when my son was like under 1, and he just hated the pool. And I got attached to this identity of like, my son doesn't like swimming. And it was really upsetting to me because I wanted him to like swimming. And it was like the whole going to class caused so much anxiety. And then, the summer came around and we were in a different pool environment and he was so happy and he was going under the water and splashing and having fun. So I feel like with my second, if there's ever a time I take her to a swim class and she's crying and doesn't want to be there, I'm not going to be like, she doesn't like swimming. I'm just going to say, oh, we'll try again next time.
Yeah.
And it's a learning experience. Like just last week, we had a haircut for my son who's gotten like 15 haircuts in his life and is always happy. And he showed up at the hair place and had a total tantrum and refused to sit in the chair, which just all of a sudden was so scared of the hair cutter. We brought him to the parking lot. We tried to talk him off a ledge and he was just like, nope, I don't want a haircut. And I caught myself again being like, my son's never going to get a haircut in his life. Like, now this is a new thing we have to deal with. Like, maybe we need to bring someone to the house and give him special treatment at home because he's so scared of the salon. I'm trying to remind myself, like, no, kids just change and go through things and he'll get another haircut one day and you don't have to stress about it.
Yeah. Definitely going with the flow is like the biggest thing that you can do as a parent. I mean, I feel like there's no other way, to be honest. Whatever you have in your head that you think is going to happen, throw it out the window because it's not. Yeah, you never know how your baby's going to react to things, or interpret things even. But yeah, that's something that I've always been like that in my life in general. So it wasn't as difficult of a practice to adapt, but yeah, it's something I'm just going to continue doing through life. Well, thank you so much, Lucie, for coming on today. I really appreciate you just sharing your experience about your motherhood and about what's to come in the future with your second. I'm so excited for you. I'm sure you're going to share your story about, your delivery and everything. So I really look forward to seeing that. But I want you to plug everything here right now. So tell us where we can find you and all your stuff.
Thank you. Well, first of all, it was amazing to be here. Thank you for having me. So excited for the launch of this show. And I can be found across social media at Lucie B. Fink, LucieBFink. And that's on Instagram, TikTok. I was going to say Snapchat. I think that's obsolete. At least for the 31-year-olds, we're not there anymore.
We're not.
YouTube. And then also my brand just launched a new podcast called The Real Stuff, where you can also watch on YouTube or listen on Apple and Spotify. And it's kind of a show diving into taboo topics. So it mostly covers sex, money, and mental health. But being a mom, there have been a lot of recent episodes surrounding motherhood. There's actually a really interesting car birth story, someone who delivered her baby in the car on the way to the hospital. So highly recommend the show.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. Well, I'll definitely be checking your podcast out. But thank you again so much. I truly appreciate having you on. You were amazing.
Thank you.
I cannot wait to see you guys next week on another episode of Milk Trunk.